Get ready to uncover truths and reality of today's politics. Here's your host, Lori Mills.
Welcome to another edition of Uncover California. I'm Lori Mills, your host. On today's episode, I've got some exciting news. You guys may remember an episode that we did about a year and a half ago where we talked about how we were going to run for the Republican Party here in Ventura County. Well, guess what, guys? We were finally seated. I am now your new second vice chair of fundraising. And today I'm super excited to have the new chairman for the Ventura County Republican Party, Richard Lucas. Richard, welcome to Uncover California.
Well, thank you, Madam Second VP. Thank you very much.
We have a lot of work to do, and I'm super excited about it. Yeah. I want you to tell everybody how you got involved in politics, starting with the recall in Camarillo.
Yeah. So in the summer of 2020, we had two city council members that kind of jumped on the defund the police bandwagon. One council member in particular said some really atrocious things on social media. And so a small group of grassroots community members banded together and we started a recall effort. And during that recall, we set up banners and tents, easy ups in the shopping centers and got to talk to, I would say, at least 3,000 community members. And that's when I kind of realized, what a beautiful place that we live in. And that I really wanted to stand and fight and make Ventura County beautiful again.
Right. And you're from Camarillo. Camarillo just suffered some devastating fires.
Yeah, the mountain fire.
I actually had a friend that lost her home that she's had forever. Most beautiful home, such a great area. How's Camarillo recovering from all of that?
Yeah, it's a strong community. I mean, there were some challenges there. I mean, I went to one of the community meetings that was at the local fire station. We're really blessed to have a really good fire department and sheriff's office, along with our board of supervisors. They really were coming together with a unified message to hear from the city council or the city members. There was some issues with it. Sounds like maybe there was a lack of water, which is not uncommon in that.
Thank you, Sacramento.
Yeah, that's not really uncommon, but there were some challenges there. It sounds like there's a new well that needs to be drilled up there, and there needs to be approval from the Board of Supervisors. So, we need to kind of look into that.
Yeah, well, we definitely need to start letting the people come before the Delta smelt, Gavin Newsom. Let the water come south. I know years ago, I had talked to the guy who was the head of United Water, and he told me most of the farmers, even in Somas, they had metered their water.
Yeah.
And they're not letting them use the water appropriately. It's so controlled. So moving on from that, we all ran together for the Ventura County Republican Party. I can say as a candidate, I really wasn't impressed with how I was treated as a candidate, which was one of the reasons I ran for office. I just felt that candidates deserve better. And I just didn't feel that there was a lot of organization going on within the party. It seemed to operate in a bubble where we really need a lot more public outreach and unity. Yeah. And now you're chairman of the Republican Party of Ventura County. Tell me why you wanted to do this and what your goals are.
So if we kind of go back real quick to the recall,
right?
We were unanimously endorsed by the Republican Party. And when we got that endorsement, we thought that we'd kind of hit the jackpot or the lottery, if you would. We went from this grassroots group to all of a sudden now getting the buy-in from the local Republican Party. And quickly we realized there was no machine, there was no infrastructure, there was no mechanisms to help our group.
Right.
And so after the recall, my wife and I kind of circled back and took inventory of what happened. And then as a couple of years went by and I met you and others, we assembled this team to effectively build a effective party. And so I think moving forward, what we want to develop is a true value for our community. And that starts with really getting to understand what the voters want and what their needs are. Each individual community is a little bit different. I've spent the last 18 years working in the skilled trades on the Ventura Avenue. That's very different than, Camarillo or Simi Valley. And so each individual area has different needs. And so we want to hear from the community, some of their challenges. We want to add value in being able to provide resources to support candidates that can help fix those problems that people are having.
Right. And we did see a lot of seats that were unchallenged.
Yes.
Over the years, which again, we should have a Republican running in every single race.
Yes.
Now, there was an opening recently, and not that you have nothing to do, you decided to jump into another race. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So in this fall, there was a filing period for the November election. And we realized that there was a vacancy to the Ventura County Board of Education and that only one person had filed. And when that happens, if nobody else files, essentially by default, that person wins the race. As well as if nobody files for the position, the current board just appoints somebody with no representation or oversight from the voters.
Right.
And so when I realized that I lived in that district, I prayed over it, and I decided to run for County Board of Education, and I won that race with just under 78% of the vote. So,
which is crazy. And now you're learning all about,
yes.
What have you been learning about what needs to be done, and what is your vision for that?
So in this last week, I was down in Anaheim for the California School Board Association's annual conference. CSBA did a fabulous job putting together that presentation. On the ground floor, they had a big trade show with a lot of vendors with materials. Didn't spend really any time there. It was more upstairs in all the classrooms. They had wonderful education for board members like myself that's new on proper governance, the Brown Act, the FPPC documents, how to get along when your board's got some infighting. Just an amazing amount of resources for us. But the children deserve an opportunity to have the best possible education. And not every child is college bound. And like myself, I've spent the last 18 years working in skilled trades, and I can share that we are really understaffed. And there's a huge opportunity. If anybody's out there looking for a good job, I would urge you to find vocational skilled training, be it welding, pipe fitting, an electrician, a carpenter, an operator of equipment. Learn some type of skilled trade. These are wonderful paying jobs. They pay far greater than any, entry-level job. I mean, some of these jobs are paying $100,000, $150,000 a year.
And you don't end up in all this college debt.
Absolutely. There's no $80,000, $100,000, $150,000 of student loan debt keeping you in bondage and into debt.
Right. Now, do you think that there's a way that you can incorporate these trades into the learning environment for students where maybe they're not going to go to college, but then they're pointed to training for a vocational skill?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is, we've got partnerships with the local community college district. I know within VCOE, they've got a welding shop. And I was just talking to our county superintendent, Dr. Cesar Morales. They're going to have a welding credential and actually be able to provide certifications for people to get their welding. And, in the fact that I've seen and spent the last 18 years, I've done a wide variety of construction projects. Our infrastructure in our country and in our local community is definitely aging out.
Yes.
And, we need to change a lot of the power poles and those wires. Most of the linemen that service our area live out of state because there's not enough skilled linemen here locally. So they have to pull from out of states. And of course, like I said, if you get trained in these jobs, you can work here locally, make enough money to be able to afford a house here in Ventura County.
Which is crazy right now. I was actually looking just out of curiosity what apartments are right now.
Oh, yeah.
And you're looking at $35,000 to $4,000 for a 1,000 square foot 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
We need new leadership in the state assembly and in the state senate. So let's move forward.
Yeah.
You're now the chairman of the Ventura County Republican Party. What are your goals? What is your mission to drive our values forward and get more Republicans elected?
So the exciting thing is, we're coming off a historic win in November nationally.
MAGA!
There's a tremendous amount of optimism. President Trump won not only the Electoral College, but he won the popular vote.
Right.
And that is really a big deal. That's a statement from the voters a mandate from them of how they want this country to govern. And then they got the House and the Senate. And so that optimism, we need to carry that here. And locally, we will be competitive in every single race from now on. We are going to proactively recruit, train, and support candidates for every single race in Ventura County. That is school board, that is your local water district, that is your local city council, board of supervisor, all of it. We need to be competitive because at the end of the day, the voters win when there's healthy competition. When we can have those important dialogue and that healthy back and forth, the voters win. And that's what I want to see.
And something else that I would really like to see within our party alone is unity.
Yeah.
How do you intend on bringing people together?
I think that with leadership, I've seen in my trade, I've seen typically 3 paths that employees can take. I have seen people that aren't given the proper skills and training, and then they become kind of like a cancer, and they become negative and divisive, and that's not healthy.
Right.
And then another path forward is where they're given those skills and the training and encouragement and are really, encouraged to be their best, and they blossom into wonderful people and very successful. And then there's other times where maybe somebody wants to do something, but they're not maybe made for what they thought they want to do. And then you kind of help redirect them in an appropriate, positive way with encouragement. One of the books that and authors that I've absolutely recommend to people is Extreme Ownership. And it's written by a former Navy SEAL platoon commander. His name is Jocko Willink. And there's several books, and he had a company, and it's great story. He's just got a wonderful podcast. But in leadership and in our own lives, we have to take accountability for everything that is at our feet.
Right.
And so as chairman of the party, it is my responsibility, and I want to elicit feedback from everybody. I can't know how to help support our group if I don't know the good, the bad, and the indifferent.
Right.
So if we have challenges and struggles, one of the things that I feel that a lot of people have felt, and they've left California because they feel that this is hopeless.
Right.
And they've had to become a political refugee. I want that exodus ending now. I want voters to realize that we have a new political party. We're going to go on offense here locally. We're going to represent conservative values and the Trump 47 principles that have essentially brought our country to being the greatest that we have.
Now, with you being connected with the schools now, something I'd really like to see in our party is internships.
Yeah.
I want people that, let's say they're taking a political science class, or that's just an avenue that they're going in. I can tell you on Uncover California, over the summer, we had an intern. He was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he got college credit for being here doing show clips and helping behind the scenes at the church and with the show. And I would really like to see us pull some interns into the party.
Yeah.
Are you going to be capable of doing this?
Absolutely. I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm open to all suggestions. I think that we need to build optimism. We need to build hope. One of my coworkers is in his mid-30s, and he has seen that optimism kind of just melt away with the cost of home ownership. Wages haven't kept up. The cost of food, the inflation, it's been devastating on him. My wife and I are fortunate. We've owned our home for 21 years. So I got in, years ago and was able to refinance at a really effective interest rate. But it's hard out there for people right now, like you were saying, for rent.
Yeah.
$3,000-$4,000.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like more than my mortgage payment.
Yeah. And then, you go to any fast food restaurant, it's $12-$15 per person.
Right. So back to the party.
Yeah.
Bringing internships to the party, I think, would be so valuable.
Yeah.
Also, we were left pretty much with a bankrupt party.
Yes.
And we are going to be planning a gala in January, just so everyone knows. And there's going to be some big people there. So everybody mark your calendars. I'm not going to give you a specific date yet, but we're going to have an inaugural gala.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about helping with the fundraising for the party. And I do want to know your vision for how we incorporate the fundraising and goals that we can do to help, for instance, state assembly candidates, which I think are highly ignored. A lot of the things that we've talked about here as far as how much homes cost, gas tax, all of that comes from the state assembly.
Yeah.
And Sacramento has this super majority right now, which has completely destroyed the state.
Yeah.
How can we, what is your vision and what are your ideas to really get behind these candidates as far as when someone comes to you and says, I'm really thinking about running for this office, what is your plan?
So I think that really quick, kind of going back to the fundraising aspect, people are willing to donate money when they feel like they're buying something. They're
Right.
buying into.
We haven't had value.
What are we selling? We're selling
Right.
vision. We're selling an idea of what we're moving forward. And we need to hear from the people. We want them to come join our effort. And so as far as, supporting state assembly candidates, I mean, it takes money to run campaigns. It'd
Yes.
be great if it didn't, but it does. Mailers are expensive. Websites take money. You got to have yard signs. That all costs money.
Right.
And people they're willing to give of their money when they're willing to see that there's opportunity to purchase something and a vision. And that's that messaging that we will develop and have optimism for people that they believe that we can break up that supermajority and even turn California red, because there's a lot of conservatives that live in this state and we need to be well represented.
Well, and I've spent the last 3 weeks curing ballots, and I can say they count till they win. This time we had myself and maybe 4 volunteers from the new committee, mind you,
Yeah.
that spent 3 weeks every day curing thousands of ballots. And for those of you that don't know, what does that mean? What that means is we've got mass mail-in voting, which started during COVID.
Yeah.
Thousands of ballots come in. Well, many of these ballots are rejected due to a mix-max signature or no signature on the envelope. So then we have to go to these people and say, did you vote? Was this your ballot? Will you sign an affidavit, get it to the county so your vote counts? And it just seems to be this unending stream of count, reject, count, reject, count, reject, until they get their way. And I hate to say that, I do not think our elections are safe or secure. But one thing that I would like to see, even with any candidate that comes to our party, I would like, if they show up and say, hey, I'm thinking about running for office, I want it written out for them. These are the things that you need to do.
Absolutely.
These are printers that you can use. These are sign makers that you can use. I would like to see us train up campaign managers.
Yeah, absolutely. Treasurers.
Treasurers, mostly treasurers. You want a professional. I probably wouldn't. We're not accountants. I'm not an accountant. I'm not training an accountant. But just infrastructure for these campaigns. I would really like to see us get that done for them. So they're not just, okay, I'm running for office, and then it takes them 2 months to figure it out.
Yeah.
They need a path to set them on day one on the racetrack.
There's a lot of back office organization that we can do as a party to help people. We don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
And I think helping that will also encourage people to come decide to run.
Right. Well, I think for me, when I ran, I think that was part of the problem is I started running, and I ran my campaign like I ran my real estate business, which oddly enough is very similar. It's about marketing. It's about those things, but I did not have any support from our party.
Yeah.
I was on my own. The California GOP does have a Trailblazers program, which I'll give Jessica Patterson credit for. She did a fantastic job, but it's something you have to pay for, and you have to go to Sacramento, where I would like to see that brought in-house.
Yeah.
Are you going to put a team together to organize this?
Yeah, absolutely. There's several other groups that provide training like that at no charge. They do webinars, personal development, and things like that. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I've attended dozens of classes from Leadership Institute, a great nonprofit organization that does everything from training on social media to candidate recruitment to volunteer recruitment, how to keep your staff engaged, all different types of topics. Yeah.
Right. Now, in the long run, what do you want this party to look like? I would like to see headquarters in every city.
Absolutely. Yeah. We will build a very exciting, optimistic, on the offense brand. We're going to be unapologetic. We will support the voters in what they want. We live in a constitutional republic, and we hear a lot of times protecting democracy, protecting democracy. People, you got to get out and you've got to organize and you've got to demand the government that you want.
Right.
We have a couple races here in Ventura County in this last November election. One of them was decided by 7 votes.
Yes.
One of them was decided by 2 votes.
Right.
And so apathy, where people say, you know what, my vote doesn't matter, that goes out the window. When we have 2 races here in Ventura County that just concluded in this November election, and the difference was 2 votes or 7 votes.
And they wouldn't have got across the line if I wasn't carrying ballots. Let's get that straight.
That's absolutely true.
You know, again, I think there's so many areas of our party that have been ignored for a very long time. And it was almost operated within a bubble of secrecy. And I would really like to see the public more engaged. I would like to have every Republican club in Ventura County with a seat at the table.
Absolutely.
I want to see unity. I want to see growth.
Yeah.
What is your vision for that?
Well, we need to be all rowing in the same direction.
Right.
You know, and we need to be having those hard, tough conversations with one another and saying, what is our true mission? Are we truly representing the best for our community and our voters? And if that answer is no, we need to change course and we need to work together. It's that simple.
Right. And so moving forward, I mean, we're just getting started. We've got a lot of work to do.
Yes, we do.
And I'm excited to work with you. And
Thank you.
I'm excited to work with everybody on our committee.
Yeah.
I think that we've got a great team. I think a lot of people are new, but they're motivated.
Very motivated.
And I think that
Very motivated.
the people of Ventura County spoke loud. They've been very unsatisfied with the party. I remember when I ran, you know, I would, you know, be fundraising for my campaign and the party would say, well, we don't have the funds for you. And people got to the place where they said, I'm not going to donate to the Republican Party.
Yeah.
They don't do anything. I want to see change there.
Yeah. When we ran for our central committee seats and we were knocking on doors, talking to the Republican voters, that was the number one thing that we heard was, I don't donate to the party anymore because they don't do anything. There's no action. And most people don't even realize what a central committee is.
Right.
Effectively, there's 58 counties in California. And per the election code, each political party has central committee. And those are the elected positions of the people that get put in to do the business of that political party. And here in Ventura County, there's 22 elected seats for the Republican Central Committee. Those are divided based on Board of Supervisors seats. And like in Thousand Oaks, 2nd District, there's 7 Central Committee members. In 5th District in Oxnard, there's 2. In Ventura, Ojai, there's 4. So the numbers are kind of divided over those 22 seats. But we effectively report to you, the Republican voter.
Right.
And we need to know what you want our party to do. So please come get involved. We're going to relaunch our website. We're going to have new marketing materials. We're going to have a presence on social media. We want you engaged, and we want you to come be part of this. And if that means that you have time to volunteer, great. We'll put you to work. If that means you can donate $10 or $15, $20 a month, great. If you can donate a few to $100 a month, great. Everybody is part of this party. The Republican Party has been reset by Donald Trump in 2016.
Yeah, we are MAGA.
We are now the party of the people. If you look at the people that Trump is putting in his cabinet, I mean, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, Vivek, I mean, these are people that were Democrats. And I had an opportunity to meet Tulsi firsthand and talk to her. And one of the things that I asked her is, you know, as a former Democrat that's now moved into the Republican Party, what do you say to candidates that are running for office that are wanting to talk to those, you know, unhappy Democrat voters? And she said, well, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Elicit input from the voter and ask them what their concerns are. And I think that's excellent advice.
And you guys, get ready because we are going to start caucus meetings in every city in this county, including Fillmore, including Ventura, including Oxnard, including Camarillo. We want you guys involved. We're here to work for you. So our half hour went super fast.
Super fast, as always.
Yeah, so let everybody know where they can find you. Everybody also pay attention because we're going to throw this gala. We also want you all to become new members of the Republican Party because without your help, we're not going to succeed. And our memberships start at $100. And if you're a bigger donor, you get to come to all the events for free, and there will be some fun events.
Yeah.
So, Richard, where do people find you?
So I'm on all socials. You can Google search my name, Richard Lucas III. You'll find me on all the socials. We will be relaunching our webpage and all of our socials. So stay tuned. That's in process. That takes a little bit of time. We just got our reorganization meeting was a week ago tonight.
Yep.
And so we have a little bit of work to do, but I would think definitely by, January, mid-January, beginning of February, you'll see a relaunched Ventura County Republican Party.
Starting with our inaugural gala, which is going to be extremely fun.
And I was hearing there might be some
yeah, there's going to be some big names
there. So.
Some names that you're all going to want to hang out with. So stay tuned for that news. Thanks so much for coming on, and we will be talking very soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Lori.
All right, everybody, stay tuned. After our commercial break, I'm going to bring in another January 6th defendant. This is a 67-year-old grandmother, nonviolent, who has had her life destroyed. I'm not backing down off January 6th till all of these defendants are pardoned. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the MAGA Mall. We have the largest selection of the finest quality MAGA caps and Trump caps that are made. We have over 250 hats and 1,000 different products in 28 product categories. All the caps are made from premium cotton twill. Everything on them is embroidered. As a matter of fact, in the last election cycle, we donated over 45,000 caps to Trump-endorsed candidates and conservative causes all the way across America. And you can buy any of our products by going to our website. It's at themagamall.com, like on the sign over here, and use promo code CALI, and that's for Uncover California. That will get you a 10% discount off of all of our products and also help this worthy cause. And remember, it's always a MAGA day at the MAGA Mall.
Welcome back to Uncover California. As you guys know, and I've said for a long time, I'm not letting go of January 6th. We have had American citizens' lives destroyed over a lie. And what was that lie about? It was about taking down President Trump and taking down anybody that supported him and to put fear in the American people. As constitutional rights have been violated and destroyed, I'm going to bring on another guest. Her name is Cindy Young, and she got caught up in the January 6th sham. Cindy, thanks so much for coming on to Uncover California.
Thanks for having me, Lori.
Yeah.
All the way from one coast to another coast.
Yeah, so you're out there in New Hampshire. Tell everybody, who are you? Who's Cindy Young before January 6th?
Okay, well,
By the way, you don't look really scary to me. I don't think you tried to overthrow the government. I just don't see it in you. So, so go ahead. Tell us your story. Who was Cindy Young before the January 6th sham committee and Merrick Garland went after your life?
Before January 6th, I was a 67-year-old grandma, probably younger than that because it's been 4 years. So 64, 65, with one grandchild, one daughter. I've had a pretty interesting life. I was born and raised on Nantucket Island, and I was in a plane crash when I was 18 months old.
Wow.
And it was a pretty big one. And on the plane was the head of the Atomic Energy Commission, Gordon Dean. And on the plane, there were 34 passengers and 10 survived, and I was one of them. My
That's
mom didn't. Yeah.
That's crazy. And I'm so sorry about your mom. You were
Yep.
18 months old when this happened?
Sold. Yes.
Which
And
flight was this? Do you know the details of the flight? I want to look this up.
it was Northeast Airlines, and it was coming out of LaGuardia. And it happened August 15th, 1958.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And yet
Yeah.
you're here. God has you here for a time such as this.
I think God had me in his hand then, and he's got me in his hand now. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what did you do for a living? Were you retired, being grandma? What was your story?
So I am retired, and on Social Security, and I also had a business which was holistic healing. I sold herbal treatments, did a lot of sound healing work. I've been to Peru. I've studied with shamans in Peru, and that was my life. I loved it, and I've lost that business since January 6th. I had to give it up because I couldn't see maintaining my home, my business, and going to jail. It wasn't going to work out. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you went to the Ellipse, I'm imagining, on January 6th to see President Trump.
Yeah.
Did you feel at any time that President Trump was encouraging you to go take over the Capitol?
No, I remember standing there at the Ellipse listening to his speech. That was the whole reason I went to Washington, was to hear him speak. And at one point he said, we're going to walk peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol and make our voices heard. And I've always been a person that wants to make my voice heard because I really felt that this election process was fraudulent. And I wanted the electors to be reconsidered that day, to just do the process as it's laid out by the Constitution. We never saw that happen.
No.
No. So, I ended up, I had met a person on the bus when we drove to Washington, and we both said to each other, let's go. We've heard Trump's speech, and he can be repetitive a lot of times with what he says. So we started walking down Constitution Ave, and no intention of going to the Capitol, but the crowd was moving and we were moving with it. And when we got to the grounds, I actually got up on a wall just because I'd never seen a crowd as big as was there that day. It was amazing to me. And
Yeah, I heard there were like 2 million people there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I'm from a little podunk town, or an island, and seeing that many people was just amazing. So I got up on the wall, and all of a sudden, flashbangs are going off, rubber bullets are coming our way, gas is coming our way. And I believe that at that point, the Capitol Police and the Metropolitan Police were intentionally lobbing munitions at the crowd to create a frenzy. And that's what they got.
And you're not the first person that's told me this. I've had several people tell me that the crowd was very calm. Everybody was patriotic. They were having a good time. And then suddenly munitions were shot into the crowd. I truly believe, and even more so after the 2024 election, 2020 was stolen.
Absolutely.
There seems to be 15 million missing votes. And January 6th stopped the debate on the floor. It helped Democrats way more than it ever helped Republicans. And I think that you guys were entrapped. I truly do. So you're standing on this wall and munitions are going off. Are you panicked? What do you see going on around you?
So the wall was getting more and more people kept coming up and getting on that place. And at one point, when there was a police officer that had a gun, it looked like a football, which was rubber bullets. And I could look her right in the eye, and I knew she was going to hit me with that thing. And I said to the guy standing next to me, I said, she's going to get me. And he goes, get behind me. So I got behind him. And then he turned around and he goes, are you scared? Do you want to get down? And I said, yes, I do. So I got down off the wall. So now I'm back in the crowd, and the crowd ended up, that staging that was there, everybody was pushing toward the building.
And how did you feel in that crowd? Did you feel like you had to go with the crowd? Did you feel like you were almost in a rock concert sort of scenario where you were being ushered in? Because I've heard that a lot too. Like, what was the experience like at that moment when you're in this crowd?
At one point, at the point under the staging, it was definitely like being in a cattle chute. There was no way you were going to turn and go the opposite direction. You couldn't, or you'd end up like Roseanne Boylan, trampled. Okay.
Right.
So I moved with the crowd toward, and I ended up near the Senate wing, and the doors were already opened. Now, at that point, the crowd wasn't pushing us in the building, but the crowd was moving into the building. So in I went. And basically, if you track my path through the building, I pretty much made a beeline through that building. I got held up by the house doors, which is where I wanted to be to say, stop the steal, which I did. And I moved through. I actually ended up at the location where Ashley was shot, the Senate
chamber.
And at that point, they were hitting the glass doors trying to break.
So were you there before she was killed? Mm-hmm. So did you see Ashley Babbitt there?
Prosecution says that I saw her killed. I did not see her killed. I saw them bashing the window. And at that point, I made the decision, I need to get myself out of here. Okay, and I went down the stairs. And that's where you see me leaving the building. But yeah, I saw what was going on, but I didn't even know I was near Ashley Babbitt until I was putting my defense together with my attorney and we were looking at videos. Wow. I didn't even know that was the area.
Wow, because I know that there were a couple guys from Antifa there, and there is video of Ashley Babbitt actually punching one of these guys that was breaking the windows. So I'm looking, because I've seen the video of this. So if you're looking to where Ashley Babbitt was, there was the staircase next to her where there were actually a lot of police officers that...
Yeah, that wasn't the one. There's one further back.
Okay, so you're on the same level further back down the hallway. And you decided, you turned around and said, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. I go down these stairs and I'm in the Hall of Columns at that point. Okay. I didn't even know these places. I didn't even know my way through this building.
How could you?
I'm trying to find my way out. I'm in the Hall of Columns. I come up to a Capitol police officer. She was all in white. And I said to her, I need to get out of this building. Where is the exit? And she goes, oh, it's down that hallway. And I look, and it's a very long hallway. And as I look down the hallway, there's guys coming in with long guns. Well, they're coming in to react to the shooting that's up above me, Ashley's.
Right.
So I said to her, I went right against the wall and I said, I'm not moving because I'm going to get shot. And she goes, just walk with your hands out. You'll be fine. I went like, no. So I said, you get an officer between me and them. And that's what you have the video of, him pointing me out of the building. That's where it picks that up. So, and then out I went. Yeah, the prosecution twists this story all around, let me tell you.
Okay, well, we'll get to your trial. So you leave the building. And from there, did you already know that Ashley had been shot, or did you hear that after the fact? And she was murdered. She was murdered.
Yeah, she was murdered. And as I'm walking through the crowd, they're saying a woman was just shot. And I'm like, what? And never put together that was the area.
You were right there. So you go outside. Are you with friends? Are you alone? And what did you do once you were outside? Did you hang out for a little bit, or
no? I went up out of there. A Metropolitan police officer who was in like a yellow jacket, like a reflective jacket, and I said to him, I said, my cell phone's dead. I need to get to the bus station. I don't know what direction to go. Can you just point me in the right direction? And he looks at me and he goes, I can't help you. You shouldn't be here. That's the answer I got.
Now,
So
when
then-
you were there, let me ask you a question. Did you see any signage or anything that said no trespassing, area restricted? So again, you just went in, had no idea that you were breaking the law.
No, and actually, when I got up on the wall, I used a bike rack to climb up like a ladder, but there was no sign on the bike rack. And I mean, bike racks are all over the place. So no.
And I heard
didn't-
push to the side. Okay, so you get on the bus and
So finally he points me in a direction and I look and people are getting gassed in that direction. So I went the opposite way and I found a Trump supporter, and I said, my phone's dead. Can you just help me figure out what direction to go in to get to the bus station, which he did. And I was at the bus station probably like 3:30, and that was my day at the Capitol.
wow. So you get home, and when were you raided? Like, what happened? Did you start hearing about people being raided? What happened to you?
So the guy that I went to the Capitol with, we got separated in that whole crowd, and he ended up getting arrested that day and held in Washington, D.C. So we're on the bus waiting for him. Our bus got held like an extra 2 hours trying to figure out where he was and if he was going to make it back. So I went home and he came home, and then the FBI came and rearrested him again and brought him to another town and held him overnight in Keene, New Hampshire. And while they were there dealing with him, they left their card in my door at my home. I was at work, so I come home and there's an FBI card there. So I took the card and I called the number on it and I said, yes, you left your card in my door. And he did a phone interview with me. And, he asked me questions. Why did you go to the Capitol? How did you get to the Capitol? Were you worked up with the crowd? All these type of questions, right? So I answered the questions as best I could. And then I really didn't hear much from him. In fact, as we built the case, he opened a case on me. He looked at all the videos of me. He looked at all the information that he had. And in April, so this is like January, February, in April, he got a call from one of the human trafficking people and said, do you want to open a case on her? And he said, no, we're going to close the case. Case closed. So then I don't hear from anybody again until 2022. So I go to a school board meeting in our town, and it's at the point where they're doing masking on the students. And Garland had just put out the letter that said parents that go to school board meetings are terrorists. And I spoke at the meeting, and within, I'm going to say, well, it was in December and early January, FBI's knocking at my door again. And they want to re-interview me. And this time it's 2 FBI agents coming to my place of business, and they bring pictures with them. You're in the Capitol. This is you, blah, blah, blah. Said, yeah, that's me, what am I going to do? It's a picture, argue them. So anyway,
I would never talk to the FBI now because of all of this. You know that? I wouldn't even talk to them.
Nope. But
they've lost credibility with me.
My life, never been arrested in my life. So
yeah,
I'm trying to do what's right in my mind. Now it's changed considerably. So they interview me and they open another case. And also sedition hunters have given them information on me at that point too.
Those people are evil. And it's funny, they're all taking down their pages now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terribly evil.
Yeah.
They're a wing of the FBI, and I really believe they're getting paid for what they're doing.
Oh, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. This whole thing was a coup, was to keep a narrative going and take President Trump out of power forever. Sorry, failed. He's back. So, okay, so you go through this. At what point were you arrested? And did you get the 15 FBI agents with long guns at your door, or were you spared that?
I was spared that. So the first FBI agent that interviewed me and closed the case calls me up in June of 23. And I hadn't heard from him in a long time. And he says, Cindy, he goes, you've been so cooperative. He starts out, he goes, but they've opened the case and you need to go and self-surrender at the courthouse in Concord, New Hampshire. So I said, okay, when do I have to be there? He goes, tomorrow. And I said, all right, I'm scheduled to work. Can I come like in the afternoon? And he goes, no, you have to be there first thing in the morning. So I said, okay. I go to the courthouse first thing in the morning, and they put me in shackles, leg shackles, pink leg shackles. They take my DNA, they take my height, they take pictures of tattoos, they do all the business. And then they stick me in a cell. Now this is 8 o'clock in the morning. I was in that cell until the very end of the day because they couldn't get me in front of a judge till the end of the day.
Of course not.
And yeah, and they take me down into the courtroom, which I thought this was illegal too, in shackles and handcuffs into the courtroom and make a big deal of removing it all in front of everybody sitting in the courtroom to arraign me. Then they let me go. And I had to surrender my passport. I'm now on pretrial supervision is what they call it, which is basically.
You haven't gone to court yet?
Nope. But I had to surrender my passport. I have a probation officer that comes whenever she wants. I have to do urinalysis tests. I can't have guns. I can't leave the state of New Hampshire without asking permission. So this has been since June of 23.
Wow. What are you charged with?
I've got the disorderly conduct and picketing and parading, 2 disorderlies, entering and remaining. They're the 4, I call them the cookie cutter misdemeanors.
Right. Have they tried to get you to do a plea deal?
Oh yeah.
Have you done? Are you doing that?
No.
Good.
I had 2 deals on the table, 2 or 3. And the first deal, I was like, absolutely not. And I had public defenders at the time, and they were pushing hard. They were saying, oh, if you don't take this plea deal, they're going to add the 1512, and that's 20 years. So you'll have 20 years on top of that. They were trying to scare me into the plea deal.
Right.
And at that point, I had started like pushing back on them, like, this isn't right. And I had met David Summerall. Thank God.
I love David. Yep. David's a great guy.
And David was helping me, like, what to ask them about, because they were saying, oh, we've looked into everything. And he's like, ask them for a log of how much time they've spent in the evidentiary database. And the minute I asked that question, they withdrew from the case. So now I've got no attorney, right? And I go to a meeting, get together that Marjorie Taylor Greene is at. And she's speaking, and I go up to the VIP section with a friend who got me up there, and I meet her, and she asked me, she goes, I hope you have a good lawyer because they're not messing around. And I said, well, right now I don't have any lawyer. She said, give your information to my staffer. So I did. I didn't think I'd hear anything. 2 days later, I get a call from the best J6 attorney there is, Jonathan Gross, and he says, I'm calling you at the request of Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I want to represent you. And yeah.
You know, she's an amazing woman. I think her and Gomer and Matt Gaetz are really the only ones that have been fighting for you guys. And I just, we need people to fight for you. And those that have stayed silent and haven't, shame on them. They should lose their seats. So you've got a new attorney, and he's representing you at per request of Marjorie Taylor Greene. What is your schedule looking like? When are you supposed to go trial?
We went to trial in August, and I
Oh.
was found guilty on all 4 charges, which is not unusual in DC.
No, they have like a 99.8% conviction rate.
Yeah,
And it's
95%.
ludicrous.
95% of your jury pool has voted for Harris.
And they
It's-
hate Trump.
Yeah, they hate Trump. They hate us. They hate us. I think they're afraid of us, really. So anyway, I had a jury. And at trial, one of the jurors actually, they ask like 30 questions of every juror. And if they answer yes to any particular question, the judge will bring them up and ask them more about it. So this was an all-day process just to seat the jury. We didn't get the jury seated till the second day. But anyway, the way they structure these questions, it's called the voir dire, is that they'll ask questions like, what do you think about Donald Trump? And have you ever served on a jury trial? And what type of trial is it? So one juror gets up and she says, oh yeah, I served on a jury trial. And he said, well, was it a criminal case or was it a civil case? And she goes, oh, it was criminal. I was on a J6 trial. Now, you have a juror that has sat on another J6 trial, looked at all the video, looked at all the evidence, found the defendant guilty, and now she's on my jury. And my lawyer objected, wanted her removed from cause, and the judge said nope. She answered the last question that they asked, can you be impartial? And she said yes. So that negates all of that.
Well, she's a liar. She's a liar.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
they all get up there. Do you use social media? Oh no, I don't use social media. No. I'm the only person in the world that uses social media, I guess. You know?
Wow. So what now? Is your attorney appealing? Have you
Well,
been sentenced?
We've got some items that are appealable. I was just sentenced November 21st, and I was given 4 months incarceration, followed by 2 months home detention, followed by 1 year supervised probation, and a $4,700 fine.
So this just pisses me off. It just does. I'm sorry. It's not justice. This is not justice. This is just, I can't wait for President Trump to get back in. You should not be going to jail. Now, when are you supposed to report to jail?
So I'm in the status of waiting for designation, is what they call it. So every Monday, I have to call the voluntary surrender line and convey my information, my name, my address, my email address. I have to do that every Monday, and they'll get a hold of me when they have a bed in the inn, I guess, is how it works. And you know, they don't even give you a time frame, but they'll probably come to me. If they come to me and say you have to report, it's usually like you've got 2 weeks to go there. But you know, I've heard horror stories. They put people 600 miles away from their home, and it's just ridiculous.
Well, you know, I almost think a lot of this, the process is part of the punishment.
Absolutely.
They've already destroyed your life, and you haven't even gone to jail yet. And you shouldn't be going to jail. You shouldn't be going to jail.
But life is like waiting for the next shoe to drop. You know, is there going to be a knock at the door, or am I going to get a letter to report to prison, or, you know, whatever. It's not a.
Well, and God's letting you go through this for a reason. I don't understand it. I don't understand. Although it is, a lot of these cases like yours are showing how corrupt the justice system is, especially in Washington, D.C. I think these judges should they should lose their seats. These prosecutors should lose their law licenses for abuse of power. Those people on the January 6th committee should be arrested for destroying evidence. So what were you going to say?
Let me give you the quote that the prosecutor gave at my sentencing. You'll love it. She gets up and she goes, on the darkest, when the history books are written about the darkest day in our democracy, Ms. Young will be remembered for the traitor to our country that she is.
Wow. Well, let me say something to you, Judge. When history looks back and we see 9/11 and we see Pearl Harbor, Cindy Young is going to be a victim under a corrupt court run by you. Cindy, we're out of time. Tell everybody, is there anywhere people can donate to you or help you with what you're going through? Okay.
I have a Give and Go that they've gone through and they can't take money from anymore. That's why I got hit with the $4,000 fine. But so now any funds that I raise, they're, I can use toward my defense or my fines and whatever. And that's Give, Send, Go, Protecting Freedom.
Protecting Freedom at Give, Send, Go. You guys help Cindy out, help these J6ers out. This could be your family member. And if President Trump wasn't elected, it could have been you. Cindy, are you on social media? Is there anywhere people can follow your story?
I'm on Twitter, J6 Cindy Lou Who, and I'm on Facebook, Lou Freedom.
Okay, well, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to be praying for you. We're fighting for you, and I'm never going to shut up until all of these cases are pardoned.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do, Lori. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody, stay tuned. Next week, we have Sheriff Matt coming on. And until then, peace, be strong, be loud, and never be silenced by the tyranny.